Realtor's been struggling the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'll tell you about real estate right now in the last couple of years and where it's trending is richer and older. The average homeowner has 44 times the net worth of the average renter.
2010 was literally the worst time to be a realtor.
It was.
A lot of 25-year-olds don't realize this. Money's not that hard to find today.
Yeah, good money's going to be looking for rates of return.
Yeah, looking for opportunity.
So guess what?
What's going on, Wealth Builders? Today, I have got the guy who owns the largest real estate training company in the world for realtors. They've trained over 3 million realtors. He's also a real estate investor himself. Been in the business for over 29 years. I've got Brian Buffini. What's up, man?
Hey, great to be with you.
Hey, I'm happy to have you here because, dude, I mean, you've been in the game a really long time. And so I love to hear how it happened and then what you see happening. What's the future look like?
Right.
What does the future look like? I mean, let's talk about the present day. I mean, realtor's been struggling the last 2 years.
Yeah. Interesting. You know, I started in real estate 39 years ago and I'm 29 years in coaching.
Got it.
In the coaching business. And so I love it. Been around it, you know, buying, fixing, selling. Last year, there were more records set in real estate than ever before. But very interesting records. And from a statistical standpoint, what I'll tell you about real estate right now in the last couple of years and where it's trending is richer and older.
It's not good for young people.
Not good for young people. And it's really bugs me a bit. The average first-time buyer last year was 38 years old.
Wow.
Okay.
First time
Not
even just buyer.
Right. And household formation starts at 26. So people are like, okay, 26. So between 26 and 38, there's 78 million people in America alone. So I'm okay. I'm out on my own. I'm renting a place. I'm done living with mom and dad. And I got to wait 12 years to buy a home. So people are putting off getting married. People are putting off having kids. Not a cool deal. So I'm starting to come to shows like yours to try to help people figure out how to get in the game.
Yeah. Why aren't people getting in the game? Do you think that they just can't afford it or fear? What do you think's the main problem?
Well, I mean, I live in San Diego, California.
Yeah.
The average sales price is $900,000.
Yep.
Okay. So, you know, back in my day, I bought my first home for $240,000. Now, it was everything I could get to get 20 grand together to get in the game. And 20 grand was hard back in 1987. But what's harder is 400 grand or 300 grand.
Yeah.
56% of all millennials who bought a home last year got help with the down payment.
Wow.
So if I came to America with $92 in my wallet, my dad's a painter. I wasn't going to get help with the down payment. I wasn't going to be one of that 56%. So my passion is helping the folks who get the help, but also the folks that can't afford it, that they can do it. They can get in the game. You have to get in the game, but you got to really want it. You got to value it. You got to be willing to make some sacrifices to do it. But if you do it, it'll change your life. The average homeowner has 44 times the net worth of the average renter.
Wow.
So we want to get people in the owning game.
So, you know, people are waiting to get married. They're waiting to buy homes.
Yeah.
Obviously, homes are more expensive. All these factors are contributing to like less transactions happening.
Yep.
They're contributing to people not building wealth. You know, and then just technically too, I mean, if you're paying the rent, you're building somebody else's wealth.
Yep.
So it's kind of a crazy thing right now.
I used to, when I was actually selling real estate, I used to have a postcard mailing system. I'd mail into apartment buildings and it would just have a headline says, "Your landlord says hi and thanks again for paying his mortgage." I get a lot of phone calls on that one.
Yeah.
You know, so I love that. I love putting the keys in the hands of someone who thought I'd never own a home. And so I love what you're doing. You know, I'm watching from afar. I'm excited to see you helping people get in the game and understand owning wealth is the number one way to own wealth in the world and the history of mankind is real estate. And, you know, 80% of millionaires, they're millionaires because of real estate.
Yep.
And so there's ways to do it. And I know, you know, I have 6 kids from 32 down to 23. So, and our house is the hub where all our buddies hang out and so on and so forth. And so I watch the kids and I hear and I hang out and chat with them. And they're like, hey, okay, so what I'm going to do is we're doing some sports betting. You know that all sports betting in 2024 accounted for twice the size of all stock market investing for people under the age of 35.
Whoa.
Because I don't think I'm going to get ahead. How am I going to get that kind of a down payment? I'm not able to save that much, don't have wealthy parents. So guess what? The Cowboys are given 6.
Yeah, I got to gamble.
Got to gamble and they take the riskier investments, shall we say.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is I've seen that too. So I'm 35 and we'll get a lot of younger people in our programs and different things who kind of are out of that mindset. But when I look at like the normal everyday person, you're right. They're all looking for sports betting, especially men.
Yep.
They're all looking at, crypto. They're like, yo, I need to find the next meme coin. I got to find, Bitcoin's going through. It's like they're looking at things that don't require them to actually be the producer or have any type of skill or anything. It's like they're reliant, hopefully, on something else.
Yeah. You're here in Vegas.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things to do I come here for conferences.
Yeah.
I like to say I'm the only guy in history that's every time he comes to Vegas comes home richer than when he left because I don't gamble. I come here to do events.
Yep.
I do a couple of big conferences a year and I come home.
Yep.
But if you're ever on a plane flight home from Vegas, you hear all the people who talk about their winnings. And I go into the casino and go, that cost $1 billion and they're building a new one over here for $6 billion. Somebody's paying for those things.
Yeah.
And so the dynamic is, okay, I took the risk. I got the dopamine hit. I did whatever. The bottom line is, you got to be willing to pay the price. And most people, everybody wants to get to heaven. No one wants to die to get there. Mm-hmm. There's no success without sacrifice.
Yeah.
You're working hard. Mm-hmm. You got a great team. Got to tour your facilities here. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But you're beating the bushes and getting it done. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks you're just, okay.
Just chilling.
Just chilling, baseballing, hanging out, got the lovely wife and things are good and people are sending me checks. The only place success comes before work is in a dictionary. So there is a way to do it.
I've never heard that one. That's a good one.
there is a way to do it.
Yeah.
There is a way to get it done. There is the side hustle. There is I have a guy came to me, he was 22 years of age. He was an immigrant from Serbia. And he was a contractor. And I gave him a start and gave him a few jobs and whatever else. He said, what should I do? I said, well, every time you get a side job, save every dime. Mm-hmm. Okay? And again, people aren't going to want to hear part of this story because it took him 10 years. But he worked, other than Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter, he worked every Saturday every year. Okay? So 49 Saturdays a year. Mm-hmm. And every time he worked a Saturday, he saved that money. Mm-hmm. He invested that money. He put it in like a QQQ, S&P 500. And then he's a contractor. He's able to do it. 10 years in, buys a fourplex. Fixes it up. 2 years later, sells the fourplex, just turned it into 8 units on the ocean in California. Mm. Now, again, everybody wants to get to heaven. No one wants to die to get there.
Yeah.
But, so if you have a side hustle, are you willing to spend a little, oh no, but I'm going out with my girlfriends this weekend and it's $200 every weekend and so on and so forth. Okay, I don't want to be the killjoy, but could it be 100?
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like Father Time talking, but here's what I can tell you. A penny saved is a penny earned. Real estate changed my whole life. I came to America with $92 in my wallet. I was 19 years old and I got in a terrible car wreck. I was on a motorcycle. Mm. I owed $252,000 as a 19-year-old.
How?
7,000 miles away from home. Now, you're talking about 1986. Wow. I don't know what 252 grand is worth today in today's money.
How did you owe that money though?
Medical bills.
Wow.
I had no insurance.
Wow.
I had 13 surgeries.
That's crazy.
I was in a bad shape. And what did I do during that period of time? I went to the real estate business. Why? Because if you could fog a mirror, they take you in the door.
Yeah.
And I built my business and I built my relationships and I got a lot of referrals. And that's kind of what our business is today, teaching that stuff. But I also did this. The reason I built a fortune is while I was selling homes and while I was helping people and building my referral business, I bought the products that I sold. Mm. And I started buying and fixing and selling houses. I'm a 5th generation house painter.
Yeah.
So I started buying and fixing up homes and selling them while I became a very successful realtor.
Yeah.
And so over time, that's how I did it. I did those two things and bought, fixed, sold, 1031 exchanges all the way from duplexes and apartment buildings to hotels to 15,000 storage units in Texas. So all the different gamut of buying and selling real estate. So I sold real estate and then I was also in the game to go buy real estate.
Why do you think that most realtors don't do that? Like I see so many realtors do well. I mean, they're making, multiple six figures. They don't own any real estate. And just like, what are you doing?
It's a mistake. It's a mistake. I mean, insider trading is illegal on the stock market. You actually have an opportunity to ethically do insider trading in real estate, which is what I mean by that is you can be the first one to find a deal. Mm-hmm. And again, you got to be ethical and upfront. Hey, here's what this thing is worth and so on and so forth. But many times in my own life, I'd have somebody and I'd meet them and say, okay, they got a real fixer-upper property.
Yeah.
They don't have the money to fix it up. They don't have the time to fix it up.
Yeah.
And what I would do then, like to be completely ethical, I'd go, let's get an appraiser in here. Okay, so I want to be right. And so, okay, what's this actually worth? And I'd buy the property from them.
Yeah.
Fix it up. And then what I like to do was buy, fix, and hold. Mm-hmm. Buy, fix, and hold. Because buy, fix, and sell is what I had to do early on.
Yep.
Because I needed the capital for the next one. But ultimately, buy, fix, and hold is that's a nice strategy.
Yeah. It's funny because when a lot of realtors come into our program, I mean, we're teaching them how to flip, how to wholesale, and do those things. And I always tell them, I'm like, dude, we're going after sellers too. I mean, we're not doing anything different.
Right.
But you're just only thinking of a listing.
Right.
Like for us anyways, that's the last resort.
Right.
We want to buy the thing.
Yeah.
And it's just a different mindset. And they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like,
one of the downsides for realtors in the investment game is that all of their streams of revenue are in the one space.
Yeah.
So when the real estate market goes down, the revenue gets cut off.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they're over levered in the real estate holdings. Mm-hmm. So now their income gets cut off and their value's gone down.
Right.
So now they got two problems. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the challenges for realtors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, too, even for a guy like me, it's still the same challenge where, early on, I was making all my money from flipping and wholesaling. And, it's not that different than being a realtor. It's active income, whatever else.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, it's like, all right, you take your active income, you start buying rentals, you start investing in other things. And, it served me well. But yeah, just for whatever reason, realtors really have a tough time thinking of themselves as the buyer.
Yeah.
In any and every situation. Yeah. I'm just like, dude, why didn't you buy that property?
Right.
Like I'll get realtors who send me deals that make me a ton of money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've bought houses. Why didn't you just buy it yourself? Right. And they're like, oh, well,
Yeah. Well, you get caught up in that this is my job.
Yeah.
You get caught up in it. I'm making commissions. I'm a commission salesperson. I've trained more realtors than anyone in the history of the world.
3 million.
Here's the challenge. Most of them do not consider themselves business people.
What do they consider themselves?
Most people consider themselves having a sales job. Very few. It's interesting. Like Ryan, people your age and younger often come out of college now going, I'm going to get into real estate. But for my generation, real estate was the business of last resort. You follow? Oh, I got fired. I got canned. My husband left me and I've got 2 kids and I'm a single mom.
Yeah.
So real estate was Lady Liberty. It was easy to get into and unfortunately too optional while you were doing it. So it was easy to get into. It's not hard to take the test. It doesn't cost a lot of money. And now what happened is people had a job and now they have a real estate sales job.
Yeah.
Well, as a businessman, there's a difference in between having a job and owning a business.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people have a real estate job and not a business mindset. It's one of the things we coach people on. We're trying to help them be business people.
Yeah. I've always thought about it too for realtors and why they have such a tough time. And, I got my real estate license in 2010. So, I was licensed for 8 years before finally I just was like, all right, I don't need this anymore. I'm just flipping and doing all that. But it's interesting because that was how I got it. And I'm like, oh, well, what's the easiest thing I could do on the side, essentially? I'll get a real estate license. Well, 2010 was literally the worst time to be a realtor.
It was.
And I tell people this all the time. They're like, dude, it's so hard right now with rates. I'm like, bro, no, it's not. Okay.
Yeah.
If you were licensed 15 years ago in 2010, imagine being in Las Vegas.
Jeez.
Nobody has any money.
Yeah.
Literally 90+% of homes were foreclosures.
Yeah.
The average price was $100,000 and nobody can qualify for homes. Mm-hmm. Who do you sell to? You can't get a listing because they're all foreclosures. Right. And so like 2 people have them all.
Yeah.
And then you can't get buyers because no one has money or credit. And if you are lucky enough to sell one, you get $3,000. Yeah. That's the average commission.
Right.
I was like, I don't know why anyone would want to do this. This sucks.
Yep. You got to be wired a certain way. Like you got to, right? You got to be wired a certain way to play catcher in baseball.
Yeah.
Be a goalie in soccer, and to be a realtor, you got to be wired a certain way.
But then I even look at it today and I'm like, yeah, the last 2 years were way harder than obviously COVID and everything else. But man, if you sell something, you make a nice payday.
Well, look, 85% of the entire industry turns over every 5 years.
That's crazy. What churn?
So imagine, now that's the business I've been coaching and training for almost 30 years.
You got to constantly get new people.
Well, or make the ones I have successful.
Right. So they stay in.
They got to be successful or I go out of business.
Yep.
You know, because if I had a 85% churn rate every 5 years, I might be back painting houses, you know? So you got to make them successful. They can be.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and again, it's the 80-20 rule, Vilfredo Pareto, the Pareto principle, right? You've heard of that.
Yep.
It's the same in everything. And so 20% of the people make 80% of the money. And in real estate, I would say last year, 20% of the people made 90% of the money.
I was going to say, I think it's even more extreme.
It is. And so it's the same in investing. Okay. And what are the people who are investing? Who's winning?
Yeah.
And what do those people do? And so again, is it hard to buy a house if you're younger? Yes. Is it harder to start out? Yes, it is. It is harder. It's harder than it was. It truly is. But just because it's harder doesn't mean A, it's impossible, and B, if you'll actually fight through it, when you get on the other side, you're going to be doing a lot better than your peers.
Yeah. So what do you think your realtors did these last 2 years that kind of got them through the storm?
And I'm going to tell you, we have the majority of our people had their best year ever last year. And so what we teach is a relationship-based system.
Yeah.
Build relationships, serve deeply, exceed people's expectations, do a great job, get referrals.
Okay.
Referrals, the highest compliment you can get. The new client comes to you, they already trust you, know you, and like you. So we have a system, a marketing system, a process, and a training system that we give people daily activities on how to go out, serve their database, and generate referrals. And so when things get tough, people want to have someone they trust. And so when the market gets tight, I need someone to trust. When it's free and easy and you get 27 offers on every home, right?
Those were the days.
And so what happens is that's when so many people jump in. Oh my gosh, this looks great. You know, when the market's booming, I go, Brian, you know, I love houses and I love people and I decided that I'm going to become a realtor. I'm like, okay, buckle on your chin strap here.
Yeah.
And they're jumping in. There's 27 offers on every house. Well, let's be honest. If you got 27 offers on a house on a weekend, it doesn't take much skill to be able to get a deal put together.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, we're not giving you any inspections. Fine. We're not doing any improvements. Fine. You got to pay 25 grand over what we're asking. No problem.
Yep.
Well, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
Maybe not so good.
Yep.
Maybe not so good.
Boy, it was great flipping houses back then.
Yeah.
They're like, what about due diligence? I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. There is none. What about repair request? You better buy it as is.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
because I got 20 more behind you.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are you paying on a buyer's agent commission? Pretty much nothing.
Right, because the buyer's emotion is, when 20 other people want it, I want it more. When the market gets tight, they walk through a perfect house.
Yeah.
The same house, it's less price and better condition, able to get concessions. This thing's on the market 40 days.
Yeah, what's wrong with
What's wrong with it? What's wrong? Why did no one else buy it?
Why are people like that?
Because, you know why? Because people are guided by fear.
Yeah.
More than they are by the opportunity you gain.
Yeah.
More people are guided by loss than they are by the opportunity to be successful.
Yeah. Can I tell you about the day I knew I wasn't going to make it as a realtor?
Yeah.
So this is in 2010. I'm licensed, and I told everyone what's going on in the market back then. So I've always been a hustler and been good at finding deals and selling and all that. So I find this house here in Las Vegas. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet, literally built 3 years prior, 2008 build. Okay, this house sold for like $350 back in 2008. It's listed at $90,000, and it's like never been lived in. Okay, it's like basically brand new. I'm like showing it to the buyer, and this guy's like the only buyer I got, and I'm like, dude, this is like a really good deal. He's like, do you think we could offer less? And I'm like, dude, let's just make anything. I don't care. Like, let's just make an offer. There's nobody has an offer on it right now. And he's like, okay, let's offer 70 grand. I'm like, perfect. So I write this offer up for 70 grand. Back then, there was no DocuSign. So we faxed. we did all this stuff.
You're showing your age, Ryan.
I know. And I'm 35, and I can't believe that's how I started too. Yeah. So I do all this stuff, right? And I fax it to him and I get home. I'm so excited. I'm like, dude, like I'm going to make a commission. This is great. $2,000. And, I'm just thinking, I'm like, wow, what a good deal this guy's getting. I wish I could be the one buying this, right? Well, I sent him the offer. I'm like, dude, like, did you take a look? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, honestly, I think I'm gonna have to pass on it. And I was like, why? He's like, dude, I just think the market's still gonna go down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, is the house gonna be free?
Right.
I don't understand what the house, it's brand new.
Yeah.
How could it go down?
Right.
And he's like, you just don't get it yet. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
You're young.
Right.
I was 21.
Yeah. You were smarter than him.
And I was like, all right, I'm done representing people. Yeah. I want to represent myself and take advantage of all these opportunities.
Well, after 39 years around this deal, I'll tell you one thing.
Okay.
I've never met anybody who said, I'm glad I waited.
Yeah. I've yet to see it. Even in today's market, you missed out on the rates 2 years ago.
Well, no, it's this. No, so now people are going, okay, rates are up. Fed's done this. The market's doing that. I'm going to hold off on buying until the rates come down.
Then the price is going to go up.
So it's like, hey, you can buy and refi.
Yep.
Okay, you can figure it out. But, here's what you do here. When you're in the real estate business, as you are, you go to a party, people figure it out pretty quick. Oh, what's going on with the market? What's happening, right?
Yep.
So when you're an undertaker, people don't ask you those questions. How's embalming fluid? No, people don't talk about that. You're in real estate? They want to know. And you always hear this story. 20 years ago, see that property right there? I could have had that property for $18 and a ham sandwich. It's like whatever the number was.
Yep.
And you know what that property's worth today? Well, the world is full of those stories.
Yep.
And so, the key component with people, I'll say this, and whatever this is worth, the one dynamic with owning real estate is, the market's only been a certain way. For the last 11 years, we've had prices go up.
Yep.
For the last 14 years, we've had a housing shortage. I'm 39 years in the business, and I've studied the last 100 years of it. It doesn't always go up. It doesn't always stay up. The one thing you got to do when you're a real estate investor is make sure you're wise enough to completely over-lever, because that's when people get hammered.
Yeah.
Now, I've never been hammered in real estate, and I've gone through 4 major recessions, 4 of them. And so the key component is you got to be wise enough to know, okay, great, I'm in this space. I've got this property. I've built up the equity. Now, the typical thing is I take the equity to go get the next one. You can, but you got to make sure you stay in the range.
Yeah.
You got to leave some equity in there and then work your butt off to get the next piece of cash. Because once you start rolling, once you start get it going, it starts to roll downhill. Real estate rolls downhill.
Yeah.
You get more appreciation. So you get appreciation first, cash flow second. Now, if you buy cash flow, great, but don't expect a lot of appreciation. The people who want both are the people who struggle.
That doesn't exist.
Right? So it's like, okay, if I want cash flow, I'm buying properties in Indiana and Arkansas, and I buy red state real estate.
What do you like, cash flow or appreciation better? What do you buy for?
So let me say this. If I'm 30 years old, I would recommend people only buy for appreciation.
Yeah. That's what I only buy appreciation.
I'm 57.
Young. Yeah.
I only buy cash flow.
Okay. Interesting. But are you buying cash or are you still getting loans? What do you do?
Depends.
Okay.
I have, I have one property. And just so you know, Dave Ramsey's a good friend of mine. And Dave,
I just released my episode with him.
Great.
Yep.
Well, he's a good friend of mine and I love him. We have small differences on some things. So an example would be, and I was a spokesman. One of our biggest sponsors was one of the largest banks in America for 14 years. So I got some pretty good deals with them. So whatever the rate was, I was doing better.
Yeah.
So I took out a loan on a piece of real estate for 1.75 fixed.
Okay. That's crazy.
Great.
At first, I thought you were saying 1.75 million. Then I realized that was the interest rate.
No. The loan was far bigger than 1.75 million.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do with it at the time. I was looking around, but I took that money and I put it into T-bills. The T-bills that paid off 5.25%.
Yeah.
So I have millions of dollars at 5.25%. I'm paying the bank 1.75 and taking a little tax deduction on it.
Yeah.
That's when you're wise about debt.
Yeah.
And I'm not maxing up to so I own a lot of real estate free and clear, but I also have real estate that's indebted where it needs to be. When I was first going, I was doing things like this. I didn't have a lot of money. So I was buying properties and then getting the owners to do a second trust deed.
Yep.
And then I'd come back to them in a year and say, hey, you got a 5-year term. Do you want to discount that trust deed?
Yep.
So I would make I would often discount the trustee 20, 25%, cash him out. Boom. Now I'm at 20%.
Yeah.
On to the next one. Hey, do you want to do a carry back? Do you want to, do you have an assumable loan? A lot of loans are assumable that, it's not disclosed today. So a lot of deals that are out there today, what the lenders don't disclose it and the owner doesn't know it.
Yeah, the lenders don't want those loans.
Of course
they
not.
want them out.
But a lot of loans are assumable today that
Just
are
so
not
people
disclosed.
know which loans are assumable. For those who don't know, what kinds?
Here it does have speculation in regards to this. It depends on what the underwriting standard was. Is it a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loan? Is it a HUD approved loan? Those kinds of things. So a lot of FHA, VA loans, you can assume them.
Yep.
So you got to go in, and one of the things you do in a negotiation is say, is there a loan on the property? Is it assumable? Now, what I would do is I always tie up a property. If I get a chance, I tie up a property. But then I dive in to see, okay, hey, they got a 4.5 on this, and I'd go and apply. And now sometimes I would even give a seller concession or so on and so forth because it takes a little longer to get the assumption.
Yep.
But if I find that, hey, I call, I direct, I got to extend escrow another 30 days.
Yeah.
Well, take a look. I'm going to buy it 7.25 or 4.25. Okay, seller, I'm going to throw you a few extra grand here.
Yep. Can
you hang on 30 days? Now I've assumed a 4.25 loan and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I've got cheap money. Now I'm winning.
Yeah. I never really see assumptions happen too much on single family, even though it can.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of subject to.
Yeah.
Where we don't have to assume.
Sure.
But I do see it happen on the commercial side.
Yeah.
A lot more often.
Yeah. Investment side as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the second thing is people don't even know about second trust deeds.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to get a loan. Here's the deal. There's, I need 30 grand extra or 50 grand extra. Let's do a second trust deed. Let's do it at, 5% interest over 5 years. Maybe they ask for 6.
Yeah.
And so in the door you go, and then show that you're a proven commodity after a year and say, hey, I've come into some money. Just send them, hey, would you be willing to discount that note? I can get you all your cash today.
Yeah.
90% of people do that.
I was talking to a guy. He has a house in the country club I'm a part of, and I won't say all the details of it, but he has this loan on it it's interest only right now. He's got it's $2.5 million, and the interest only is $4,500 a month. Mm-hmm. And I'm just licking my chops, and I'm like, okay, so how much do you want down?
Right.
And there's a big gap between that loan and what he wants down.
Right.
But that's kind of where I'm at with him. It's all right, well, how much are you going to carry?
Yeah.
Here's
the thing. Think about it. Like I said at the beginning, a lot of statistics in. The average buyer last year was 59 and the average seller was 63.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
That's really crazy.
When I got in the real estate business, the average seller was 40s.
Whoa.
Okay. So older and richer. Well, what are older people looking for? You asked me appreciation or cash flow. If I'm sitting in your spot, it's all appreciation, baby. I'm trying to build up my net worth.
Yeah.
I've done pretty good. Mm-hmm. So now I'm turning it all into cash flow, and I don't have a lot of time, so I want cash flow instruments. If I'm 63 years of age, I'm looking for, can I get fixed income? How about I get fixed income on a property I used to own?
Yeah.
It's secured by real estate. If you don't pay it, I'm going to own back the property that I used to own.
Yeah.
Pretty secure investment, and I'm going to get guaranteed fixed income.
Yep.
And you come along and you say, hey, I'll give you 6%.
So you're seller financing a lot of your stuff.
No, I did. I don't do that anymore. I mean, I'm at this a long time, so compounding's happened, and I only buy cash today.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it's funny because Dave, when I was interviewing Dave a couple of weeks ago, he's like, I own $700 million of real estate free and clear.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Here's and it's brilliant, and he's the real deal, and he's not exaggerating. Here's the thing. How does that encourage a 25-year-old?
Right.
Or a 30-year-old or a 32-year-old? So for me, I would say this. I am not nervous about debt if people are willing to sacrifice for it. You remember when you got into real estate in 2010 and the market was upside down and everybody was foreclosed on?
Yep.
How did that happen? What went on is that people got 0%, 100% financing on properties. They had no skin in the game, Ryan.
Yeah.
So when the market went down a little bit, they just walked away from the properties.
Yeah, they had nothing to lose.
So they had nothing to lose. So they went away. And then people who actually put money down lost theirs because the market fell so much. So it started with the 100% loans. They had no skin in the game. So I believe this. If a young person wants to get in the game to buy a piece of real estate, what are you willing to do? You know, what are you prepared to do? Do you ever see the movie Untouchables?
No.
That's Sean Connery. Great movie. Elliot
I've
Ness.
heard of it.
Yeah, great. And he used to have this line, what are you prepared to do? Right? He's dealing with Al Capone. They put one of yours in the hospital, you got to put him in the morgue. What are you prepared to do? Well, when someone comes to me, and I mentor a lot of younger people, and they ask me about buying real estate, I ask them, what are you prepared to do? Are you prepared to get a little side hustle?
Yeah.
Are you prepared to cut back? Okay, so great. I love snow skiing. I go to Mammoth Man. I go for 10 days. Great. Can you go for 3?
Yeah.
How bad do you want it? And here's what's honest. A lot of people say no. No. And those are the folks who end up going to go on Bitcoin. And those are the folks who are going to end up trying to get the game on, betting on the Cowboys.
Yep.
You have to be willing to sacrifice something. And if you do, real estate is hard at the beginning and easy at the end. Hard at the beginning, easy at the end. And if you'll do what's hard, your life will be easy. And if you do what's easy, your life will be hard.
Either way, you're going to have to deal with hard and easy. It's just what order.
Pay the price up front. Pay the price up front when you're young and full of juice and have energy and get after it.
Yeah.
And the dynamic is this. The greatest gift in the world for an investor is time.
Yeah.
Because if you make a mistake, if you hold it long enough, it's not a mistake. People have bought bad real estate, overpriced.
I've bought flips that went bad. I couldn't sell, and I was forced to hold them.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, they ended up, I'm like, looking like a genius.
They made you
Great
more money than anything else.
dude. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah.
You just got to be strong enough to hold.
Yeah.
So that's the deal. I mean, I love it. I love real estate. I love putting deals together. I'm a house painter by nature, so fixing up properties. When I was, probably 28, I was doing 3 a month.
Yeah.
While selling homes. And it's the greatest thing in the world. And it's been the making of me.
Yeah.
And so I'm really just encouraging. Like the reason I'm here on your show today, I just really want to encourage people to get in the real estate game, buy real estate, fight, bite, scratch, and claw to get your first one.
Yeah.
Fight, bite, scratch, and claw to get your next investment. I mean, the simplest game is like my son. He's 26 years old. He and his 2 best friends from high school, all basketball players, we helped them buy a fixer-upper in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I have crews that do stuff, whatever. So they got them the remodel, whatever else. I helped them with the second. You follow? That's the part I helped them.
You were their
with.
gap funder.
Great. I helped them do the remodel, whatever. They bought for 6. It just appraised for 9. They put a renter in there. Great. 2 years from now.
They'll refi you out.
Great. Tax deferred exchange if you want.
Yep.
Let's go get the next one. And they're up and running. And they're fired up and they're game to get the next one.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Yeah, so these, a lot of 25-year-olds don't realize this. Dude, there's plenty of guys like you who got money, who will fund their second position, partner up with them, whether it's a profit split, interest, whatever the case is. Like, money's not that hard to find today.
Yeah, right. And because people don't, and as the interest rates do come down, good money's going to be looking for rates of return.
Yeah, looking for opportunity.
So guess what? So this is where I'd say we all want to, where Dave Ramsey's talking about, that's where you should want to get everybody.
Yeah.
All free and clear, all cash flow, all the, here's a great
He didn't
principle.
have all that when he was 30.
No, he didn't. No,
right.
he didn't.
And people are looking at it today at 30.
Yeah.
And I tell these 30-year-olds this too.
Real estate investors, I found a brand new way to create cash flow that's better than anything else I've ever done. It's better than rental properties, Airbnb, my flipping business, multifamily. It's the best thing we've done yet. It is building an automated wholesale business. Now you might be saying, Ryan, how do you build an automated wholesale business? Well, what if you had the same exact leads that I get every single month? What if you had a sales script that was so easy to close deals over the phone that you could do it all across the country? And what if you could sell your deals directly on the MLS without a real estate license and without having to actually own the property and getting top dollar? Well, we do that with this new method. And I made an 11-minute video where I go over how it all works, how you can start doing it today. So if you want to go see that video, go to wealthyinvestor.com, go click the case study and see what I'm talking about.
So they're my peers and they're like, dude, I want to get cash flow so I can be financially free and all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, it ain't going to happen from rentals anytime soon. If you're buying with debt, I don't care where you're buying, you ain't going to be financially free anytime soon from this. Like, and already the mindset of trying to like be financially free early and retire and all this, you got no chance.
That is the one thing. And again, there's a lot of grinding goes on and back in my day stuff and so on and so forth. I find a lot of great characteristics with the younger generation, the people my kids are hanging out with and so on and so forth. They like balance. They like, they've got a bigger view of the world. They're, some really cool stuff there. The impatience is the challenge, and impatience is the single biggest enemy of wealth. Show me someone impatient, I'll show you somebody who's going to be broke.
Yeah.
Period. And so wealth, Albert Einstein was a pretty smart guy, right?
Yep.
He said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it receives it, and he who doesn't pays it. So I see young people who go, yeah, I want to make my money in real estate. And the first thing I ask them is, how much do you have on credit cards? The average credit card today is 28.5%.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I know your story. You use some credit cards to get your ball rolling and whatever else. Fine. But the dynamic is this. If someone's doing credit card debt at 28.5% and they think they're going to get the rate of return on a piece of real estate that's greater than 28.5%, that's kind of Colombian drug mules money. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. So you got to find a way to be aggressive and not get caught in the system.
Yeah.
And so, the debt that compounds against you, the rule of 72, you've heard of that. You divide an interest rate into 72, it'll tell you how often your money will double. Well, you divide 28.5 into 72, it means the principal's going to double in 3 years. You invest your money into the S&P 500, get a great rate of return, 8%, it'll take 9 years. Okay, so if your money's in, and that's why Ramsey stuff is brilliant, grind down that credit card. But I like to do this, grind down the credit card and save some money for investment at the same time.
Yeah.
Grind. The first house is the hardest. The first investment is the hardest. You've heard it, the first million is the hardest. You know that.
Yep.
It is. It is. But then if you're wise and you have time on your hands, you let it compound, make a fortune.
Well, and I'll even say this too, right? People who have credit card debt today usually didn't use it for anything that was going to build their skill or their life or an investment. It was just spending, right? Most credit card debt right now is just from spending, like frivolously. And so even for me, when I maxed out my credit cards, this was 10 years ago, I didn't have much money, but I went and found 0% credit cards for 12 to 18 months,
right?
Maxed them out, got 50K.
Yep.
I mean, however you're going to get your 50K, whether it's from, my rich dad,
right,
or whether it's going to be from a credit, you still owe 50K.
Yep.
That's how I look at it.
Yep.
And okay, I'm getting it at 0%. I used it, made, $100,000 flipping houses. And then, now I had to start paying interest on it. And the way I looked at it was just like, all right, well, what am I paying per month? Okay, I'm paying 2% a month essentially. And, that's 50K. So 2% on 50K, I'm paying, whatever the math is, $1,000. Okay. Well, how much is this going to make me over the next 4 months using it to flip? Okay. Cost me $4,000 in money cost and I make 30. All right. It's another cost of doing, but it was for business.
Yeah.
Right. And even when I'll get people, young guys who are like, dude, like I want to get in the game. How should I do it? I'm like, well, dude, you got to invest in your business. Right. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, bro. Yeah. Like, you need to buy leads. You got to go out and hustle. You got to get mentorship. You got to get softwares. Like the business, I don't know of any businesses that cost $0.
Right.
I don't know any $0 businesses, dude.
What are you seeing on the investment side? What are you seeing out there in the marketplace? Is there certain areas of the country that are better deals right now than others?
Most of my students and even myself, we focus on flip and wholesale.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at, 5 years out and projections in that way. Really, we're looking at transaction volume as the best, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if there's transactions happening, then we can sell deals.
Yeah.
And we're definitely seeing the market pick up now. I'm optimistic that there should be more transaction volume this year. And I know obviously realtors, that's, going to be a good indicator for realtors too. But, no, I mean, for us, we see it everywhere, dude. I mean, we wholesale nationwide. Vegas is still my primary market. I love Vegas. Vegas was tough in 23 and 24. I think prices dropped about 10%. Yeah. And then now they're finally back where they were in 22. So, yeah, dude, honestly, I took a big hit because I had 50 flips when rates doubled. And it's like, that's never happened in history.
July 2022.
Yeah, dude, that cost me millions of dollars. So I'm just like, all right, well, the gravy train is over.
Right.
It's time to go make that money back and just move on.
Yeah. But you don't lose money if you don't sell.
Yeah,
If
that's
you're in a
true, too.
position to hold, no one ever lost a dime if they didn't sell.
Yeah, the only risk though with flipping is that, especially in a place like Vegas, there's no cash flow.
Right.
So even buying a good deal, you're still break even at best.
Yeah.
And taking on a bunch of debt.
That's what I say, can you be strong enough to withhold?
Yeah.
So people might not do it on your scale.
Yeah.
So let's say most people are probably not doing it on your scale.
Yeah.
But let's say they're doing one or two and here, okay? And if they have a side hustle or whatever else, can you keep the spaghetti keep coming in the door?
Can you withstand the storm?
And then hold it.
Yeah.
And then hold it like a dog on a pork chop.
Yep.
Because if you hold it long enough, you grind it up, you're going to appreciate it, you're going to pay it down. Real estate is a fantastic investment if you hold it.
Yeah.
If you can. Now, again, I know the flip and wholesale, and I think the wholesale dynamic is great. In fact, I have another son who just got married, and I normally like to be the guy that buys and turns it myself. But we bought from an agent in our coaching program.
Yeah.
Who bought, he flipped it. He did it about 90%.
Yep.
He left a little meat on the bones there for me to still fix. But I couldn't argue with him. Like in all my resources of people and relationship, I said, I can't argue it. He's got a great house. He's done a pretty good job. I'm going to pay him his money.
Yep.
And, I tipped the cap to him. I said, well done. So I do find a lot of value in the flip and wholesale. I think it's a great model.
Yeah.
But the key is to make sure do you have other sources of revenue that can help you hang in there when things get a little tough?
Yep. And for you, obviously, your other source of revenue, and now your main source, is the coaching business.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about what that's been like as a business owner, right? You go from agent, doing well.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, dude, how are you doing it? So I assume that's how you started coaching.
Yep.
And now it's 29 years later. You're still in the game, having coached this many people. I've only been coaching we started the business 7 years ago, but technically like serious about it 5 years.
Yeah.
There's not many guys that have made it 30 years. Yeah. So what's been the experience running a coaching business?
Well, you're going to start having this experience more and more and more every day. You've probably already seen some people have some tremendous success.
Yeah.
You've probably seen people who've changed their whole status in life.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's come along and they had a lot of ambition, they had a lot of a drive, they needed your know-how. And they come back to you and they go, Ryan, you and your company changed my life. Well, at the compounding effect of everything, like goodwill compounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to find yourself within a number of years here surrounded by an avalanche of that. You're going to have an avalanche of people who said, I took your course, I took your training, I've gotten the help, I bought this house, I made this much money, I've done great. I was waiting tables, I was doing this, I was a contractor and it hurt me back. And I started doing, fill in the blank. I'm sure you have a bunch of these stories. You're going to get more and more of these stories. Well, I don't know about you, but that's pretty much catnip to me.
Yeah.
So I would say beyond even as much as I love real estate and closing a deal and the smell of paint and concrete and new tile, a transformed life is pretty attractive thing.
Yeah.
And so for me personally, that is still what drives me after 29 years, and I would say the older I get, I've made a good living and, my family's set and my grandkids are set. So at this stage of the game, having a chance to impact and improve somebody's life, and then having a business that is profitable, because I don't believe I have the right to teach anybody how to be profitable without being profitable. Our company's been profitable 28 out of 29 years, 4 recessions. But I would say if I'm broke, don't be listening to me. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a guy named Harvey McKay. He used to say, beware the bare-chested man who offers you his shirt. Right? And there's a lot of people out there, like you're a practitioner.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there giving advice online and whatever that don't practice at all, who are giving advice. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You're actually doing it. So I think as you grow and you become more and more successful and you start getting into those certain net worth, you can be a broke billionaire.
Explain that.
Well, you can be rich in bank account and poor in heart and soul.
Yep.
And now I'm not buying into the, money's the root of all evil, harder for a rich man to get to heaven. Not that stuff. That's just bad Bible study. But you can miss out. You can make so much money, you miss out on the actual good stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't want to sound like I'm 90 years of age here, but what I've found is, impacting somebody's life, doing it, changing their life, that's pretty powerful stuff. And that's more of a legacy than oh, I left $100 million to this charity and this foundation or that church.
Yeah.
And sure, we've got the stuff set up for the churches and the ministries and all those types of people, and my kids are set and all that. But changing somebody's life, that's a pretty powerful thing. And if you can do it well, if you can change somebody's life and make money at it, now you're cooking with peanut oil.
It don't get any better than that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But over a cascading effect. So you have the compounding effect of investment, the compounding effect of real estate, you have the compounding effect of goodwill in people's minds and hearts. So, yeah, and so that is what's allowed me to fight through the tough times. Okay? I mean, I had a business. We were the largest coaching company of any type in the world at one stage.
Oh, wow. How many people did you have?
We had 450 staff. We had just gazillions of people everywhere. I had a 100,000 square foot facility in Carlsbad, looking over the ocean.
Wow.
Yeah, add the numbers. And along came the largest real estate recession in the history of mankind, 2007. Mm-hmm. I had to lay off 47 people on my birthday.
Wow.
And I went from 420 people down to 112.
Wow.
I sold...
So like 75% got laid off.
Yeah, I sold probably $40 million worth of real estate to keep the company going.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you're not really an entrepreneur until you've had to write a personal check to make payroll.
Yep.
And so I was writing $1 million checks every month to keep... I used to do it with my assistant. It used to just... It was kind of... I had to have a little fun with it. She'd never seen $1 million check in her life, and I go, take that down to accounting. And then next month, take that down to accounting.
Yeah.
I did that for a long time.
Wow.
And that real estate today would be worth, I don't know, 120 million.
Yeah.
But
you had to do it to keep
I
the
don't
company.
regret it. The business is valuable.
Yep.
It was my primary source of revenue. Your revenue is everything. And then lastly, it allowed me to continue doing what I'm doing. So, you know, you got to have, okay, I have the business drive, I have the economic drive, but is there something else behind it? You know, you folks listening here today, why do you want to be successful in real estate? My mentor is a guy named Jim Rohn.
Yep.
And he said to me, you need to become a millionaire for what it will make of you. Now, I was 23 years old when he told me that. And what I thought, I was a poor immigrant. And I'm like, become a millionaire for what it'll make me. Well, it'll make me richer. That'd be good. I didn't know till decades later what he meant. It's that who it makes you as a man, who it makes you as a person. And so, you know, you start becoming this person. Like if I lost everything tomorrow, if something happened and, you know, fires in California, I lost my home in a fire in 2007. But if everything went to pot and you lost your business, if I started from scratch today at 57 years of age and I came to Vegas and I knew nobody and knew nothing, and I mean this in no hubris way at all, I'd be a millionaire within a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because it's in me.
Yeah. You don't lose the skill.
No. And the mindset.
Yeah.
And as long, you know, so that's the thing. So, you know, you're on your way. I am so excited. I've seen your operation here today and I was like, oh my gosh. I toured around here with my business manager, Bill Hampton. I gave him an elbow and I go, oh, I've seen this before. This reminds me of something 20 years ago. And I know you're a good man and you got great principles and you're doing good work. So that's why I'm here today.
Thank you. Thank you. So tell me, you know, obviously you've seen this story play out because you've experienced it. What is the next stage for a guy like me, right? I mean, 40 employees to go to 400 employees.
Yeah.
Like, what is the difference?
Whew. How long do we have? I'll say this. Don't set a goal on how many employees you want to have.
Okay.
That would be my first recommendation. Because you think like it's a badge of honor. Oh, like now I'm the man. You know, the difference between 50 and 100 is radical. Radical. Two completely different businesses. Here's a couple of things if it's worth your while.
Yeah.
Harvard Business said when a business grows by 47%, its infrastructure is shot. The current infrastructure you have today, you grow your business by 47%, you have to reinvent your infrastructure. In my business, I went through a decade where we grew on average 49% a year. You were having to reinvent the system and reinvent the wheel.
Every year.
I mean, and then you're going, okay, forget this. We got to get a couple of years ahead of it. And then you can make investments. Oh, by the way, I made these massive investments and here comes a worldwide economic recession based in real estate.
Now we don't even need them.
Okay, and now it's like I have all this buildings, I have all this fixed expense and so on and so forth. So I would say make sure it's busting out the seams. You know, make sure everybody's optimized, fired up and doing it. The culture difference between 100 and 200 is radical. Between 200 and 400 is unrecognizable. And so, you know, you have your culture. You guys are entrepreneurs. Everybody's into it. I talked to the receptionist and everybody's got a smile on their face and they're fired up. And, oh, you're getting to meet Ryan. You're going to be in the studio. It's great stuff. Get to 400 people. They're like, who's Ryan? Is he here? Oh, he's the guy with the beard. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You know, I'll give you, you ready?
Yeah.
I shouldn't do this, but I'll tell you a little story.
Okay.
So I walk into my building. I got 440 employees and coaches. We have about 100 coaches. And they were all out having some kind of pizza party or something like whatever else. And I'm a very affectionate guy and I really like my staff and I know the majority of them. So one at a time, this one coach who'd worked for me for 20 years walks in, Brian, comes over, gives me a hug. Well, they're all walking into the headquarters. I'm caught in the lobby. One by one, Brian, I'm giving him a hug, giving him a hug, giving him a hug, giving him a hug. So finally there's this gal at the end. I said, well, I'm not going to leave you out. And I give her a hug. And she kind of was like this, kind of a cold fish. I'm like, oh, okay, I might be personal space issues or something and whatever else. I go to walk away and my receptionist, who's still my receptionist today, Rainey, she goes, Brian, that last lady was the pizza delivery girl.
You don't know.
I just hugged her. I didn't know. I used to know their pet names and their kids and whatever else. And now I'm hugging the pizza delivery gal because I think she works for me. The same heart, same motivation, different company. So I think this, in my advice, whatever it's worth for you, clearly define goals. And one of the goals is who you want to be. Who you want to be. And there's lots of people out there. You know, I can take a little bit of this and I take a little bit of that. They've got a model. I can follow that. But I'll be the best version of you. You know? Like, I'm not going to try to be Dave Ramsey, and Dave Ramsey shouldn't try to be Brian Buffini. I'd be a lousy Dave Ramsey. And he doesn't have an Irish accent.
Yep.
So, you know, have clear-cut goals. I would be voracious and focus on who you're trying to serve and where you're trying to get them. And then never lose the contact with your customer that you know what their need is. Because once you know what their need is, you can meet their need. And that will drive you. You might end up being a 4,000 person company if that's where the need drives you.
Right.
But I would say keep the focus on the customer. And if you do that, what their need is, how can we serve you? How can we do better? They'll bring you places. Some of our, like, for example, you go to a church?
Yep.
Are you in a small group?
Yep.
Okay.
We have a one of our we have a nonprofit.
Great.
Where we start small groups all across the country for entrepreneurs.
Great.
Yeah.
So we have 390 small groups.
Okay.
That meet every month here in the US.
Okay.
We have a facilitator and a host. Well, one of the
These
largest,
are real estate small groups or Bible studies?
No, these are real estate small groups. Well,
Okay.
where did I get the how to do it? The largest independent, non-denominational church in San Diego, the pastor was a friend of mine.
Okay.
And he had his guy that built his small groups because we're helping people grow, develop. We wanted to build a sense of community. So we brought him in, made a donation to his church, and they helped us build small groups so people could connect together.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, that happened because our members started meeting. And they started having these groups themselves. Like, why are you doing this? So your customers have your best ideas. Your customers, I didn't think of that. I'm like, why would you want to get together? Oh. And then when there was 5 of them and then 6 of them, it started in Arizona and it spread to Vegas and our clients were meeting every month. I'm like, why are you doing this? And then we go, okay, if we're going to formalize it, we need to go outside, get some help.
Yeah.
And now let's systemize what our customers already want. And now people love it in our coaching program. They have a group of peers. They send each other referrals. They brainstorm and they got people in common.
Are they virtual small groups or in person?
No, they meet in person. Now, during COVID, they learned how to do COVID in person and, you know, virtual. And then some people have hybrids.
Yeah.
But the big principle there is, I never thought of that idea. Our customers thought of that idea.
Yeah.
And the more you're in touch with your customers, they're going to give you ideas you never even thought about.
Yeah. One thing Dave said to me that was interesting because anytime I can meet a guy who's been in the game a long time, like I was telling Dave, I was like, dude, the thing... I used to be a hater of Dave, you know, just talking about debt and stuff.
Sure.
And us as real estate guys were like, well, we love debt, right? Yeah. But as time went on, obviously, I grew up. And the thing that I admire most about him is his longevity and his consistency. Yep. It's like, dude, you don't got to guess what he believes.
No.
Has been the same thing for 30-some years. And I go, and he's been doing the same talk show for 30-some years.
5 days a week.
Yeah. 3 hours a day. He don't stop.
Relentless.
And he don't need to keep doing it, but he keeps doing it. And I was just like, dude, like, how do you maintain that level of consistency? How do you even stay in business that long? Because we all know through the different recessions, technology changes, competition, there's always some new hot thing going on, right? Like what I now respect is people who have been at it for a long time, because now I haven't even been in business that long.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many people.
You know why you're thinking that way?
Why?
Because you know you're going to make it. When you first start, we're all the same. Am I going to make it?
Yeah.
Am I going to survive? Am I going to get it going? How do I get this plane off the ground?
Yeah.
How do I keep it off the ground?
Yeah.
Well, you're starting to think about that now because you're like, I am going to make it.
Yeah.
Like, this is real.
Yep.
Like, actually, I'm really successful. This is really going.
Yeah.
Now, who's been doing it for 3 decades?
Exactly. And so I asked him and he said, the key here is that your process is always changing, but your purpose doesn't. And he goes, dude, we've tried Facebook ads. We've tried, everyone told me that Sirius XM was going to be the next big thing, and maybe it is. I don't know. But yeah, we'll try that. It'll be a new process, but we're not going to stop normal radio. And then, podcasting becomes a thing, and everybody was charging for it initially. I was like the first podcast in this thing, and we gave it away for free. Like, so our process over these years has always changed, and it's still changing.
Yeah.
But our purpose and our mission never changed.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super powerful because sometimes as an innovator and a visionary, I'm like always having a million ideas. And then it's like, we're always testing new things.
Yep.
And it was kind of like permission of like, no, you have to be constantly trying and testing things.
I had to learn expensively because I'm the same way. We're all the same. All innovators, creators, all the same. Is the difference between an idea and a strategy. Because we have ideas, and ideas can cost money.
Yeah.
And time. And the bigger you get, what happens is you have 2 dynamics. One is a fear-based thing, which is now you have something to lose.
Yep.
And now the second thing is it's harder to move the ship the bigger it gets.
Yeah. You can't pivot as quickly.
Pivot as quickly. And here's the thing. You don't need to. Always. Because you've got this momentum behind you. So now it becomes, okay, what's the one grand idea this year? As opposed to when you're starting, what's the 15 I'm going to try?
Yeah.
We don't
know what works.
I was here yesterday. The top virtual event studio in the country's here. And we put on a virtual event for our clients and just tested it out. It was a new deal for me. It wasn't like the convention centers and the ballrooms I used to be in and all that kind of good stuff. And it was cool. It was cool. It had the same principles, the same purpose, but now with a new idea. So great. That's the hot new idea for us this year. And we're going to do more and more of this stuff and make it totally interactive. And so great. I used to be able to do one of those a month.
Yeah. Trying something new every single month. But now you can't do that.
Which is addictive, which is great. It's full of dopamine. As you become a big leader, what happens is the tail behind you gets harder and harder.
Yeah.
Hang on, I was working on your last idea. The one that you've forgotten about? I'm still trying to implement it.
Yeah, you know what, that idea, I'm over that idea. Let's do this other idea.
Exactly. Yeah. There's things inside my company that people take very seriously that I haven't thought about in decades, and they think it's the biggest thing in the world. And when I find out about it, I'm like, oh, we're still doing that.
Yeah.
It happens.
So what does your time look like spent today with what you do?
In a day?
Yeah.
So my business is in somewhat of a transition for me because I'm in the stage now. I've got the empty nest going on, So I built a business that was built around my family. So my principles first. I was in a business where multiple divorces and screwed up kids were the order of the day. Everybody wants to be the motivational speaker. You might want to not look behind a curtain very often.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, every single one of these guys, I don't want to say every single, but a high majority of these guys, I mean, think about it. If you're on the road all the time speaking, right, how can your family life be good?
Right. So the only way I could figure that out, and again, this is a sacrifice. Now, this is not a piece of information I would give anybody, but this is what would work for. I bought a Learjet. Warren Buffett, who has a few more books than I do, says it's the indefensible. So for a company the size of mine to buy a Learjet, and I had a Learjet for 3 of them for 17 years, that doesn't make sense. I could have put that money into investments and this and that and the other and whatever else. Why did it make sense? Because I was home every night. Because I coached my kids. I was in Houston in the morning. I coached my kids. and then had dinner together.
Yeah.
I'm married 35 years. I got 6 great kids. Life is blessed.
Yep.
And I didn't give up that to pursue the brass ring of the money. You know, ask the guys. There's plenty of guys, broke billionaires,
Yeah.
who they made the money and lost everything in the pursuit of it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it talks about. What does it profit a man? Gain the whole world, lose his own soul.
Yeah.
You can do it. Ambition is a fantastic thing. The key is to have a healthy ambition. So I made the sacrifice. I would have a much higher, greater net worth today if I didn't own 3 Learjets back in the day.
Right.
So, and then when the time came, and I was great, we'd built the business to a certain point, I went, fine, I'll build a little podcast studio, sell the plane. Well, now I'm in the stage of life where my kids are all grown. They're all getting married, I got grandkids.
Yep.
And so now I'm at a stage where life is good. And so I've done all kinds of things, and I'm going to give you big time, all the different who's who I've met and presented in my life. I was fired up to come here today because I see someone like yourself who's having influence and having influence on this next generation of people coming up in the game of real estate, investing, and so on and so forth. I couldn't have been more fired up today to be here to talk to someone who's got influence to help all those folks. I think that's the coolest thing in the world. So my goal is to do more of that and to help out. And I've been, there was an old commercial. It was a baseball thing. Baseball been very, very good to me.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah.
It was a famous line. It was I'm trying to think, it might have been Clemente or someone like that. And a baseball been very, very good to me. Well, real estate been very, very good to me.
Yeah.
And life's been very good to me. And so I'm at a season in my life where I want to give back. I want to share the information. I want to help people. You know, there's a lot of stuff online, you know, and you get the headlines and you get the this and that. And, you know, there's a lot of bad advice online.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, anyone can have a platform. It's funny because so this was my second book, Wealthy Way. And it's kind of what you're talking about. The subtitle is Don't Go Broke Trying to Get Rich.
Love it.
So it's the same concept.
What's the principles?
Well, you got to live the wealthy way, right? And it's literally what you've been talking about. And it's the same thing I've been living even when I was broke financially.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because a lot of people think, oh, how'd you build it? You must have grinded it out all these years. Like, you know, when were you doing the 80-hour work weeks? I was like, I literally was never. And they're like, no, but like, you know, when you're not now, but when? I go, I was never. I don't know what I'm telling you, this is what I did. And it was always, you know, I'm married 11 years now. I got 3 kids under 5.
Awesome.
So I'm like in the thick of it.
Yeah.
I can make every excuse. I'm in the building stage of entrepreneurship and wealth and life. And from the beginning, I'm like, dude, I don't work weekends. I work here 9 to 5. I'm out. I'll have dinner with my family every night. You know, I'm going to be at my Bible study. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be, you know, in great shape.
Yeah.
Like, because if any of those areas are jacked up, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like if your marriage is on the rocks, it's going to affect you in business and everything else. If your health sucks, you can't do anything. It just is what it is. And then if your faith is lacking, well, then you're just eternally, it doesn't even matter any of this. So.
And here's what I believe. So again, the millennials been the most maligned generation in history of mankind by X's and boomers. And what I go is, I think millennials and the Z's have it better because they realize they don't want to sell their soul.
Yeah.
So I think your message is very timely. I think your methods are very timely because you're like, hey, the real key is not the hours you put in, it's what you get out of your hours.
Correct.
Right? So you're not scrolling for 4 hours. Your phone doesn't say, oh, you were on, your phone time was 9 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? You're not. You got to get in, you bust it, get it done, make sure your time is extraordinarily high leveraged, and then self-care, personal care, living the good life with all the other good stuff. So, you know.
Yeah.
Now, some people want to be on a hammock at 27, and if they inherited a lot of money, maybe that's the chance. Or maybe they're the one that hits the lick. Or, you know, what happens is you got the one person. Right, you get the story, you get the name. This person went to Vegas and hit the thing. This person made $1 million in 12 days on Bitcoin. This person, and you'll have that your whole life.
Yeah,
you'll have that. And oh, this person's doing better than me, and this person's. You stand like you're standing on the freeway while the cars are going by.
Well, and you're like, oh, I missed out.
Yeah,
I should have bought Bitcoin. Was $100.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, well, you can still just make it.
Yeah, right.
You just got to commit to better actions every day.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love, you know, what you're doing is great.
Yeah.
What you're doing is great.
What do you think about, you know, you've talked about faith a lot. How have you incorporated that into your company and events and everything else?
Well, who you are speaks louder than what you say. St. Augustine said, share the gospel at all times, but only use words if absolutely necessary. Now, I'm a guy, I'm nothing without my faith. And the reason when I had this terrible motorcycle accident, I was incapacitated for a while, and all I did was study. I was 19 years old. I studied the Bible. I can tell you that the principles I got from that period of time, being stuck for 6 months, I was getting my real estate license proactively, and you could only go so fast then. There wasn't online training. And then secondly, I studied the scriptures. And all of the principles. There's the richest man who ever lived wrote a lot of the Bible. His name was Solomon. There's great principles in there, and I learned those things. And so then I applied them to my life, and I applied them to my business. And then I've tried to stay true to that. My business is built on 7 biblical principles. And so that's the stuff. I don't ever beat people over the head with it. It's who I am, but uncompromisingly so in my own life.
Yeah.
I've had lots of opportunities in businesses and this and that and the other, and it's like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why you can still enjoy it. You got to be able to, my Zig Ziglar used to say, money can buy you a bed, but it can't buy you a good night's sleep. So you got to be able to have that good night's sleep, living by your values. And doesn't mean there's not bumps on the road. Marriages it's work. Raising kids, not easy. But it's the greatest thing in the world. And you want to be able to have a business that supports that and not tears it down.
Yeah. No, I love it. What do you think? You mentioned this, like things are hard and you're going to make mistakes. What do you think's like one of the biggest mistakes or failures you made?
Oh, how long do we have?
I got all day.
I wrote a book one time. It was called Taking Care of Business. And in the intro to the book, I said, here's the 10 biggest mistakes I've made in business.
Okay.
And each one of them was a business that had a clang to it, I think you got to know your strengths, but you got to know your blind spots. You got to know what your blind spots are. And then you got to have people and processes around you that protect you against your blind spots. We'll make the same mistake over and over again if we don't grow. So I'd say make sure you know what your blind spots are. I would say this, if I can, I'm not trying to turn this into Grandpa's advice show here today. If I could say this, if I'd have known how well my kids would have turned out, I would have worried an awful lot less.
So do you think you lived with a lot of stress and
just more than I needed?
Yeah.
When you're parenting, you're trying not to screw them up more, and you're trying to turn out great people.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to screw them up and I would say it's even more intense today. One of the things I look, we would travel with 6 kids, and before we had the plane, you get in a commercial plane. Now today, people are like Sherpas getting on planes. They get the this and the that and the cradles and the. And so a lot of modern parenting is like avoiding the mistake. I don't want any bad thing to happen to my kid, And when adversity is what makes us, right? So I just, like I said, and I think even for myself, if I'd have known how well everything turned out, I'd have worried less myself.
Yeah.
I'd have worried less about the money. I'd have worried less about the business or the future. And so whatever that's worth to you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I walked here today. I know what I saw here today.
Yeah.
Because I've lived it for 3 decades.
Yeah.
And I was very excited by what I saw here today.
What do you think would be the future of your company, right? I was talking to Dave about this, right? When it's personality driven, it's got your name on it, and you've been at the head for 30 years. Do you think about succession or maybe selling one day? How does all that play out?
Well, all of the above. All the above. It depends the kind of business you built.
Right.
So, if you're going to sell one day, it's what is the revenue stream that is repeatable, that doesn't have your name next to it. So if someone wants to buy your business, it's like, okay, how much revenue do you have coming in the door that's repeat, whether it's subscription or projective revenue, that is not specifically generated or facilitated by you personally. So that becomes the asset value. So are you building an asset or are you building an income? If you're building an income, then the goal is to leverage the income and then buy assets.
Yeah. It's a cash business.
Right. So so that's that dynamic. But I would say this, always view your business as an asset. And I would also say personally view yourself as an asset. That's why personal growth and development and training and coaching makes sense. Ben Franklin was America's first millionaire.
I know that.
He said if a person will take their purse and invest it in their head, it's the investment that pays the greatest dividend and no one can ever take it away from you.
Yeah.
So, and you've obviously done a lot of that, and then you provide a lot of that. So invest in yourself. But the second thing is view your business as an asset. Okay, what is the business worth? What's the asset worth?
Yeah.
Itself. You know, one of the things people don't realize is when they invest in real estate that it's a business.
Yeah, the property itself is a business.
Managing real estate and handling it's a business.
Yeah.
Like that's a business. It has to be managed like a business. So what's the asset value? So it's like, what's the repeatable revenues? And so it's all about what you want. Sometimes you can do a joint venture. Sometimes you partner up, you know. Distribution and capital will always be the constriction. So how do you expand your distribution? How do you keep capital? You need capital to expand. Why do companies go public?
Get more capital.
More capital. And so the goal is capital for more distribution. So sometimes you could partner up with people and you go, hang on a second here. You guys do this, we do that. How about we send you some of our clients, you send you some of your clients, things like that. So joint ventures, partnerships, but view it as an asset.
Yeah.
And there's different seasons coming for you, and it's great. You are in the middle of, you are at the circle of the storm. Absolutely fantastic. 3 kids under 5.
Yeah.
I call that life in the blender. Okay? Life in the blender. It's the greatest. You are living today the good old days. You are right now the good old days. These are the good old days. I have a CFO that's been with me for 22 years. And he was talking to me the other night and he goes, man, I remember we'd sit on the plane after doing an event. We'd just done a great job and made a bunch of sales and we'd be having a nice meal and telling great stories. And you had all these people who've been with me for, years. And it was just great camaraderie and fun. He goes, man. And the thing I remember is that we knew those were the good old days. I have a very successful business today. It's different than that.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So you're, from what I see, in the middle of the good old days. You're in the middle of it. Enjoy the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It'll grow and it'll be bigger. It'll be that. It'll be this. Oh, great. But you're having a good time now and enjoy it.
Yeah. How do you know when is the right time to sell? I'm sure you guys have been offered over the years and other things. Like what, I guess, has prevented you from selling? Because, you guys have, I don't even know, but I'm sure you've done hundreds and hundreds of millions in revenue. So like what's
more than
stopping
$1 billion.
you? Over $1 billion in sales.
So let me ask you this. When did you know it was time to start this business?
Well, as far as real estate goes, I had no choice. I'm like, I need to make money.
Yeah.
As far as coaching goes, when the demand, I had already had so many people like, dude, teach me how to do it. Teach me how to do it. Like, it was just like, dude. So at first I didn't even want to coach. I just wrote a book. I was like, read the book. I'm tired of explaining this over and over again. Just read the book. Here's the manual. And then I saw Russell Brunson speak in 2018. He's like, dude, you can just create a course and sell your knowledge. I was like, oh, okay. So I created a course in 2018. Still didn't coach. I'm like, I don't want to be hands-on. I'm busy doing my own thing. But I didn't start coaching until 2020. Yeah.
So, but you knew it was a time to start.
Yeah.
And there's an excitement to that, and there's momentum to that. You'll start to get a feeling when it's time to stop. And being a person of faith, we have the advanced version of that called the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
And you'll start to get a sense of things. And so it's not an idea, and it's not Jerry Maguire. I had a bad piece of pizza and I wrote a mission statement. Who's coming with me? I got the fish. But you'll know when it's time, or if it's time.
Right.
And for Dave Ramsey, he built out his network of speakers. He's done diversification.
Yeah, he's been clearly planning.
And he's got Rachel Cruz, his daughter, who's fabulous, by the way, a great woman. And so that's the way he's chosen to go. And I've got a lot of options in front of me right now, and I'm weighing it up. But it's not totally clear to me at this stage. The good news is keep creating asset value. You keep getting better and better offers. Better opportunities. It's a good time to be doing it. But like I say, I would look at myself, if I was 35 looking at Brian Buffini, and I go, man, he has everything I'm hoping for. And I look at you and I go, man, what would I give to be sitting back in his seat? You follow me?
Yeah.
Because I have the outcome and the result, but you're in the middle of the juice of building, creating, making it happen, figuring it out.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out with your family and then helping people out. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Where do you see the world going with AI and the market? And we got Trump coming in. Would you agree there's going to be more changes than ever before with just all this stuff happening?
100%. 100%. I mean,
like, I feel like you can't just be like, oh, well, we're going to run the same playbook, that we've been running. Like, it's all just changing so quickly.
Yeah. Well, they say don't bring your disco moves to a hip hop world, right?
Yeah.
So I would say AI. I mean, we're actually launching AI programs ourselves this year. You have to. AI now. The thing that happens is people abdicate to technology. Oh, it's just going to do everything for me. And it'll be sold that way. AI will find you the house. It'll do the fix up. It'll remodel your bathroom.
Calling for you.
It'll do whatever else. It'll do everything, and then it'll put the kids in bed, and you go to the beach. That's how it'll be sold.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. And by the way, the reason why people get taken advantage of by scams like that is they want to be taken advantage of. Okay, they
want to believe it's true.
They want to believe it's true. You mean I get to do no work, make no sacrifice? There's no hardship in this thing at all. Great. Where do I sign? And you'll be signed, then they sign up for the next thing, okay? So AI is brilliant in regards to the ability to create efficiencies, effectiveness, things like content, development, communication, processes. There's some brilliant, it's staggering, and the speed of AI is staggering.
Yeah.
There's always going to be things that people need. So, for example, food, shelter, clothing. Mm-hmm. Those have been around for thousands of years. And they'll be around for thousands of years in the future.
Yeah.
People providing value. For example, I was at the studio yesterday. We had multiple languages tuning in from different parts of the world. They have an AI translation system.
It's just translating you instantly.
And we didn't use it.
Oh.
We brought in people.
Wow.
Because the AI can't communicate emotion. It can't communicate satire. And it can't communicate humor.
Right.
Which for an Irishman, that's the worst thing in the world.
Right.
So it's coming.
Yeah.
As far as Trump's concerned and what's coming on, its game is on. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, who just had his hearing yesterday, is a good friend of mine, Scott Turner. They're coming to make changes.
Yeah.
And they've had a lot of time to think about it. And you'll see a lot of deals coming down the pike. You'll see Trump's a deal maker. They're going to streamline some processes. It's going to be hard at the beginning because the market's funky right now. The rates are funky. It takes a while to make changes. The big bills won't come in. There'll be a lot of executive orders. But I'll say this, do the work now. Like you plant seeds in the springtime so you can harvest in the fall.
Yeah.
2026, it'll be game on.
You think it's just going gangbusters?
It will be. I know it. And there will be, at every level of the market, there's going to be deals in regards to not just real estate deals, but there's going to be deals where acquisition has been held up with big companies. That then goes down into mid-sized companies. That then goes down into small companies. There's going to be money that's sitting on the sidelines that's going to be incentivized to come into the market. Okay? I do believe on the real estate side of things, they're going to have to put, like Blackstone and those boys being in the marketplace. I'm sure you bump into them all the time. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some work there. There's an awful lot of real estate in the hands of giant corporations right now, single-family homes.
What do you think they're going to force them to sell, or?
I think they're going to make them a commitment that they can only hold a certain level of their portfolio. Now, that's going to be a fight because the lobbyists run Washington.
Yeah.
But I do believe there's a heck of a lot of real estate held in. Blackstone is obviously the giant of all giants, but there's a bunch of other mid-range companies. A friend of mine, he owns a Canadian company, and they have 16,000 homes in America. That's who your people are competing with.
Yep.
That's who my agents are competing with, and that's who a first-time buyer's competing with.
Yeah.
And so they'll come in, the house is worth $400,000, and the investor will pay it for $450,000. And they don't think twice about it.
Yep.
Because they're renting it out, they're looking at it, they're trading that at X many times earnings.
Yep.
You follow me? So I do think you're going to see some changes there tactically. That is definitely coming because they've squeezed out the homeowner. And construction can't keep up. We've had a shortage of housing for 14 years. And it's not going to get fixed anytime soon. I lost my house in a fire in 2007. Those people who lost their houses in California, I don't care what they say, it's going to take forever to get them rebuilt.
At least 5 years.
Probably 5. You're dealing with the Coastal Commission in California?
Yeah, I know.
So where
California permitting.
You know where they were last weekend? My daughter is currently managing a coffee shop in San Diego. She said the place was filled with LA license plates.
They're all going to San Diego.
San Diego. They're going everywhere. They'll be here in Vegas.
Yep.
They'll be buying houses 2 at a time here in Vegas.
Yep.
They go, what? What? That's $2 million? I'll take 2 of them. Right?
Yeah. What do you think happens to SoCal right now with all that? Well, I guess, the LA area and all that.
Yeah. I'm hoping. I mean, I have never answered a political question in my life because you piss off half your audience.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that California I've been everywhere in the world you can imagine. I have homes in many places. California is a jewel. It is the most amazing place I've ever been to in my life. And it is the worst run entity I have ever seen.
Yeah.
It is a criminal.
Yeah.
To how poorly that state's been run with zero accountability. And everyone I talk to says it and thinks it, and then they get a chance to vote. So it's tough. It's tough. They really force you out. If you're successful in California, they are begging you to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
So hopefully people at some point in time just say enough is enough. I'll say this. Divided government works. One party rule doesn't.
Right. Yeah, I bet you. Dude, if California ever went Republican, then there would be no race. Like, it would just always be Republican.
Well, let me say this. If California ever cut the red tape and cut its taxes, they'd need to build 20 million more homes.
Yeah, because everyone moved there.
Of course. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I live in a place that's 74 degrees year round. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And people are nice, and it's a great spot. I love it. I'm 39 years there.
Yeah.
And so everyone leaves. I'm staying and fighting and doing the best I can, but they who knows?
Yeah.
It's on a knife's edge. I may have to leave one day.
Yeah, most of my friends who've been on the show have left. I had Ed Milet, who's coming on yours. He left. We filmed our first podcast in his house in, I think it was Laguna. Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, it's so great, but man, it's so poorly run. Yeah. So he went to Florida.
Yeah.
And, I know Grant Cardone's like, he's now over there right now, like petitioning to get things changed and like going on a tour. I don't know if he's trying to go run for governor or what he's trying to do, but he ain't happy about it.
Yeah.
But he used to live there. And it sucks. It sucks that it's such a great state for what it is and the environment and everything else.
It was the land of opportunity and innovation and so on and so forth. And so we'll see. Things running. I'm in the game, real estate business a long time. Markets change. Things change. People change. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, again, at the end of the day, here's the real thing. Can you make money in today's market? Absolutely. Can you be successful in California? Absolutely. Can you make money when the rates are 8%? Absolutely. It's just sometimes a little harder.
Yeah.
It's just a little harder in California right now than it would be in many other places.
Realistically, where do you think realtors go in the long term, like as a profession?
Yeah, I think the real estate brokerage business is going to have to morph and change significantly.
Like kind of like what EXP and all them are doing, or how do you
Well, to some degree. I mean, there's many models. There's a lot of models out there now, even beyond those guys.
Yeah.
So the brokerage business carries all the liability and gets very little of the upside.
I know. That's why I got rid of my brokerage.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
People are always going to look for someone to trust. And they go, oh, okay, Brian, you're the real estate advocate for real estate agents. Well, think about this. You sold your real estate brokerage when?
2 years ago-ish.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, and you got in when? When did you get in?
As a broker?
Yeah.
We started in 2017.
Okay. So I would say the amount of technology that's available for a consumer to buy, find a home, do a transaction on their own since 2017 has quadrupled.
Yeah.
You can find a home. You got Zillow. You got all kinds of places you can go. There's all kinds of apps and processes you can do a real estate transaction on your own. You know that for sale by owners was the lowest number in history last year?
Wow.
It was 6%. And half of those were interfamily transfer.
Wow.
So the vast majority of people at a higher level than ever before are looking for a real estate professional.
Wow.
Now, the real estate professionals having to act a little different, charge a little different, work a little different. But more people, with all the technology that's out there, and you'd say, well, geez, this should make realtors be obsolete like a travel agent. It's actually had the opposite effect. It's more complicated, more difficult, and people go, I'm busy, I have a life, and I need to this is my biggest investment. I need someone to take care of it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the stakes are too high.
Yeah.
A travel agent's like, yeah, okay, I book a hotel. Like, what are we doing?
Okay. It was a bad breakfast. I'm not going back.
Yeah, but my only asset for most people, the biggest purchase of my life ever, at 38 years old, first time home buyer, I don't know anything. Like clearly if I'm buying a house at 38, I probably haven't had like a ton of success yet, or else I would have bought one way earlier. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, okay. Yeah, it'd be hard to trust.
Right.
I even see it on our side. So, we do a lot of direct to seller marketing. And so I run.
Okay. How's that work?
So, I've done direct to seller in every way you can imagine. So, I've done a lot of the things the realtors do. Well, we used to do cold calling, texting, direct mail, all that stuff. Then I was on TV for years. So I did TV commercials for about 4 years.
Nice.
And it was just me saying, hey, I want to buy your house. I'll give you a cash offer, all that. And then last year, obviously I've been on social media for a while and I've been running social media ads for all my other businesses. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try going direct to seller on social media. So we started running Facebook ads, saying, hey, we'll give you a cash offer on your home, all this stuff. And it's really interesting to see the different demographics and how they respond because, for example, if you cold call somebody, they don't trust you, right? It's an outbound dial. It's like, who are you? How'd you get my number? Right? On a TV commercial, we would get a ton of old people because old people watch TV. Younger people don't really watch cable as much. So a lot of these old people, they want to go on in-person appointments and have you look at their house, and it's very old school and they're not like tech savvy, right? Social media is so different than all of them in that they've been kind of Zillified, I would call it, and Open Door used to, like, the moment they submit, we call them and they're like, so yeah, like what's the price?
Right.
And it was a transition for us because we are part, and I'm sure realtors are probably the same, where it's like, well, hey, we got to come meet you in person and do a presentation and see the house and all this stuff. They don't want that.
Yeah.
They're way more like, yeah, just what's the price?
Right.
Like Open Door gave me this price.
Right.
This person, like, where are you guys at?
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, if that price works, I'll sign the contract right now.
Right.
And I've never seen that in my career.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And that's that vein. And then add this, because this is where you guys can really kill it.
Okay.
At the beginning of the show, I said the average age of a seller last year was 63.
Yep.
Now, believe it or not, 63 and 70-year-olds, they're on social media too.
Yep.
Now, what they want to know, so you can call them and you can connect with them. They'll use social media to make sure that you're legit.
Yeah, research.
So don't have a goofy social media profile. Don't have no shirt on, drinking out of a beer bong. On
reposting memes
on your social media, because the person who wants to validate if you're for real, so in the back end for older people, they use social media to see if you're legit.
Yep.
So now you call them, now you connect. Now they still might want it in person.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're going to see it in 2025. I believe the age will go up another year. I believe the average age will be 64 this year.
Wow.
Who has more equity?
These guys.
These guys. Okay. They are the ones with all the equity. And also, by the way, some of them want to pass on to their kid or grandkid. As for example, one of the things we helped, we have a company in Arizona called Long Real Estate. They're a great company and just had their president out here at our event. Well, they have a bunch of over 55 communities in Tucson.
Yep.
So guess what? Grandma and grandpa want to leave the property.
But they can't.
To their grandchild.
Yeah.
And the grandchild's 28 years of age. So I ain't doing that.
What am I going to do with this?
So now you get this property. That's a fantastic opportunity in a 55 community by fixed turn because they've got the 1970 decor on it and the Rat Pack pictures on the wall. Mm-hmm. Now you come in, fixed turn, and sell to an over 55 who's moving to Tucson.
Yep.
So that's where, again, know the demographics, know the numbers.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to share. I'll have some great data for you. I'll send you some of that.
Yeah.
It'll be great for future broadcasts for you. But now you have okay, great. I got the young person over here and I got this and there's tech savvy. Now I got the person over here. They're not tech savvy, but I'm doing the cold calling, I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing the mailings.
Yep.
And now they check out to see if you're legit on social media and they might need the appointment. So these are the folks. The older folks have all the real estate and all the equity.
Do you teach your all your students and your clients to go after those kinds of people since they have the houses? Like,
So you remember how you said, I just read the book, and why can't you read the book and do it?
yeah.
And you realize that not everybody's Ryan Pineda.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I need coaching and training. So, for example, our company provides all the marketing and resources for all our clients.
Right.
So millions of homes every month get the same marketing every month from our agents.
Yep.
We provide it to them. In fact, we mail it. Our partners actually here in Vegas. We mail it from a central place. We have email. We give them all the same social media posts, all that kind of stuff, and they kind of lay that groundwork down. Well, when we see the changes in the market, we adjust the marketing and so on and so forth. So last year, we started focusing, like the number one reason why people are moving, 23% of all sellers moved was to be closer to family.
Yeah.
Great. So we're sending out marketing pieces going, hey, have you thought about being closer to home?
Yeah.
Being closer to family? Here's the benefits of being closer to family. It helps you live longer, richer life, da-da-da-da-dum. And so I actually looked at a piece of real estate in Nashville, Tennessee recently. Beautiful home. Actually, next door neighbor to Dave Ramsey. And I looked at this home, and the people were moving into Nashville proper. And I'm like, why are they moving into town? And then I asked, I said, they have grandkids? And they went, exactly. I have three grandkids, and they just moved out of town. And, not everybody has access to an airplane. But I mean, I don't want to live in Virginia. But if I couldn't get there quick and fast, I'd probably be buying a house there. So, yeah, you adjust your marketing to those dynamics. So people are older, people are richer. That's where all the equity is. Mm-hmm. And you better make sure that people who are trying to buy those, buy and fix and turn. And again, the older community, a lot of them haven't updated. You get into your house at a certain point, you're not going, what's the latest stone and tile and whatever else, and stuff's dated. So they're perfect for this.
Yep.
They don't want to do it. They don't want to have contractors coming in their house. They have lots of equity, so they're willing to give you a discount.
Yep. You just said something interesting that we started doing. So for years, all we did was coaching, and, it was great. And we've had tons of success. We've made great money. And this last about 6 months, I realized that people are valuing information and coaching less and less in just like the entire marketplace, whereas information becomes more freely available. It's like, okay, what do you do, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you add beyond just learning how to flip a house, right? Mm-hmm. And community obviously plays a role, accountability, but I would still consider those parts of like coaching. Mm-hmm. They're just different ways you would coach. So we started providing services like what you're talking about. So we started doing lead generation for them.
Yep.
And just that alone, I could not believe how much that skyrocketed everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I'd have known this 4 years ago, I could have been doing this the whole time.
Yes.
But then also like providing their CRM and providing like all the services they're going to pay for regardless. Yeah. They might as well just pay for them through you.
You're following my path. I have a CRM that has 22,000 users and because what you're doing is you're meeting the need of the market. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you're like, hey, get on the phone and cold call. Guess what people don't want to do?
Get on the phone and cold call.
Great. So that's the need.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I fill that gap for you, are you willing to pay for it?
Yep.
And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So great. So now you evolve and now you provide more value. You become more invaluable.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, hang on a second here. All my leads come from you guys.
You can't leave.
If I leave, I'm a moron.
Yeah. We got your CRM. We got your leads. We got your coaching. You don't have a business if you leave.
And here's the deal.
Yeah.
So I believe in business. I believe this with my employees, about me and me towards them. And I believe this towards my customers. I believe I need to be your best option and you need to be mine.
Yeah.
So for my customers, I don't expect people to stay loyal to me, whether their business has changed and life has changed just because of that. I need to be their best option today.
Yeah.
But also for customers, then you need to be mine. If you're going to mistreat my staff or whatever else, you're gonzo. Mm-hmm. And then for my staff, we've won the best place to work in San Diego 7 years in a row.
Wow.
Okay. But with that premise is when you're here, you got to be my best option and we've got to be yours, which means it's like a fair competition.
Yeah.
It's a fair competition. We want to pay you well, treat you well, enjoy your work, do that whole thing. And by the way, for that, you've got to do well, be in the game, whatever else. I mean,
yeah, weird. It's just everybody should just be excellent.
Yeah.
That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah. So I see that around the building here, just so you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, dude, I could talk to you all day about all this, and I know your time is valuable and you got things to be doing, but it really means a lot. You coming through, sharing your wisdom, being an example of, you know, consistency and longevity and providing so much value to the real estate industry as a whole. And so even for me, I'm excited that you're getting out more on the tour with these different things.
Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully it's the first of, you know, a lot of things that we could do together.
For sure. Well, honored to be here. Congratulations on everything you're doing. Fired up to meet your team and what you're doing. And like, if I could, like I say, these are the good old days.
Yeah.
Enjoy the heck out of them, bro.
Yeah. Where can people find you if they're realtors trying to get help and everything else?
The name is Buffini, right? An Irish woman, an Italian name, Buffini.com, and go there and you can find everything you need.
How much was that domain? I always ask people who have good domains.
So here's the deal. Believe it or not, you know, when we started, you know, some guy in England who was an investment banker, whose last name was Buffini. So we were Buffini and Company for 25 years, which is a real pain to have to type that all out.
That is a big domain.
And for whatever reason, and I asked him, he wanted $1 million, and I said, fine, I like and so for whatever reason, he let it drop. He let it drop, and I bought it for $5,200.
He let it drop?
Yeah.
He just didn't renew it?
Well, finders, weepers, you know, hey, you not a smart guy. I mean, he just needed to come to me with a better offer. Yeah. And he let it drop. And my guys are always, we have lots of domains and trademarks and whatever else.
You saw it pop up.
And they bought it for $5,200. And
dang.
So now we're Buffini.com. It's a lot easier.
Dang, that's a good one to get. I've tried to buy Pineda.com, but he don't want to sell.
He will. Just
One
hang
day.
tough.
Just hang with him.
Hang tough.
But I got Ryan Pineda.com, and I got that way before I was anybody for $900. So
Okay.
that was good.
Yeah.
So
Where do I send people to? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
yeah, I mean, for anyone who wants to do flipping and wholesaling, wealthyinvestor.com.
Okay.
So
Right. I mean, we have a giant amount of realtors who'd probably benefit. Some of them would benefit.
yeah,
from
we got a ton of
what you
realtors
have.
that we help out.
Great.
So
I'm sure.
that's great. Awesome. Well, guys, go check them out, especially if you are a realtor. They are the top coaching company in the entire world. Like you just said, 3 million people done, $1 billion in sales. The results don't lie. So go check them out, and we will catch you on the next episode. Peace.